But now something new is about to happen that has not happened for an age. Entmoot.
Hello and welcome to Entmoot. I'm Harry, this is episode 117 of the podcast, and you may have noticed we're doing something slightly different this time. We're in the visual format too. Here's what's coming up. Mr. Ash Wiltshire.
Thanks very much. Hello, everybody.
You'd be better off with 4 siege bows, to be honest. They're really good.
Mr. Alex Temple. Very excited. And I pivoted my siege bolt thrower to try and shoot into the eagle, to try and insta-kill the eagle, but there was an in the way for the combat, which had the troll and the catapult.
Nice. On his way in, he's going to do a transfix on...
Yes, that's right. So we've got some teasers ahead to Berticon that the video this time is going to be talking about. And as you noticed, I am walking around. I'm walking around my brother's hometown where I've been staying for the night ahead of this weekend's event. And as you have noticed, it's a video as well. Or maybe you haven't, because I think I'm going to use the audio of this for the podcast as well. But I don't know. Maybe I won't. Maybe I won't use any of it. It might all go in the bin, so you never know. But I thought, why not give it a go, see what it's like, do you a little video version of the podcast, and see if we can just spice things up, keep things a bit fresh, and hopefully you can see a few of the games, or snippets of the games, and have a look at some of my opponents. So, that's what we're doing. We're off to Berticon, a 961-point GBHL 100 event, so a competitive event, and I've got my army with me. Let's have a look at what we're going to build ahead of this exciting veto-filled tournament. So you can see here the Golden King of Abrakan leading 9 Abrakan Guard and 6 Haradrim with bow, and followed by Gurits and 9 Morannons with spear and shield. So rounding off the troop contingent, we've got Amder leading 2 cataphracts for that tasty gleaming horde, as well as 13 black dragons with halberd and shield. Then comes the real spice of the list. We've got a Mordor siege bow, newly improved from the old edition, where now it hits on 4s as opposed to 5s and still does that tasty piercing shot. And also a catapult with troll loader and severed head. So hoping here to be able to combine the special rule of the Golden King with that catapult and severed heads for making the opponent's troops run away. Yeah, there you go. So we've got 961 points of Legions of Mordor. Very exciting. I've never used this army before, obviously. This is fresh to me. I've been building the Abrakan Guard and the, the Golden King for my Tale of Four Warlords thing, which is happening on this channel, the live streams every month or thereabouts, which has been super fun. And it's great to get the first sort of 200 points or thereabouts, or I think it's slightly more than that, of guys in action. So we'll see what happens. And as I just sort of probably alluded to by just showing you, I wanted to just try and mix together a few of the different factions that I've always wanted to try out. I wanted to try out the catapult. I wanted to try out the siege bow as well. And I just thought the combination with the Golden King and the severed heads is pretty fun. Maybe I'll be able to make a lot of stuff run away. I don't know. It'd be really cool if I could. And I think it's got enough models, although, of course, at least 6 of those models are, well, 7 including the troll, are probably not going to be involved in the main sort of gun line, or sort of fighting line, sorry. They'll be in the gun line alongside the 6 bowmen. So is it going to be enough to sort of do the deeds in combat? I don't know. I guess it'll depend on the scenarios. I've got a few cav there for doing some running and stuff, but I'm not 100% sure. But I wanted to try out Amber, of course. I used Eastlings to little effect in the last edition, but I was really, really keen to try them out again. So, yeah, pretty hyped for this. Got a few minutes to wait for the train. Might as well talk through some of the stuff that I'm not particularly excited about. I don't know. Obviously, they're all the big nasties in the sort of league at the moment, with the Crebain, the Armies of the White Hand, the depths of Moria, and all that sort of stuff. But the rules of this tournament are they're slightly restrictive on monsters, so you can't have more than one monster. So if we are going to face monsters, it's going to be one, which shouldn't be the end of the world. But then I don't have anything massive to like take them down. I just kind of have to rely on the fact that my catapult or my siege bow might be able to do some damage. We've also got the fact that the Golden King is okay in combat, but very vulnerable to shooting, and also magic. Although he's got that 6 will, if he's spending his will on that, then he becomes a pretty useless stuff pretty quickly. So I guess I'm a little bit worried about like multiple casters. I wouldn't be surprised if we see armies with multiple casters at the tournament, because obviously at high points, usually you'd be considering throwing in big heroes and big monsters. Although there's a restriction in monsters potentially, meaning there are fewer monsters coming, I do think people are going to be expecting to play your Fornosts, your Heroes of the West or Men of the West. So I suspect people might also counterplay that with some magic. Who knows? We'll find out. But I don't know. I'm quietly confident in my line. I think the Morannons with the Easterlings and the Abercan Guard are pretty good. Obviously, Defence 4 on the Abercan Guard is a concern. But they're Fight 4. Everything's Fight 4. I've got the chance for Fight 5 if Amber's in the right place. I don't know. Maybe I'm overly optimistic. I'm looking. This is the first time in a while I've come to a tournament with the actual intention of wanting to do relatively well. I want to improve my GBHL team score, which is the Fellabellies team. Shout out Fellabellies. And I think, I can't remember, I've got it all written down on my phone, so I might be able to add it a bit later. But I think if I come like 12th, I improve my own score. And if I come like 20 something, I'll improve the Fellabellies score. So I'd like to be able to do that. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But either way, I'm really hyped about this. So I'm going to have a look at the round draw on the train on the way there, and we'll be able to talk about what I've got, and maybe I'll be able to talk to you if there's no one sitting around and I don't feel super self-conscious about it. Anyway, right, let's crack on. Newbury. Hype is real. Thanks very much. Cheers, mate. Thank you. Look like a right country bumpkin. Tell you what, you people in the south with your trains, you don't have no up north. Either way, I made it through the barriers. Man gave me £13 and change, looked at me like I was crazy for having cash. But anyway, had a look on the train. You may have expected me to do that on the train, but no, there were a few people, surprising number of people actually on the train this morning. So I was a bit self-conscious about talking about my army matchup then. So I thought, let's do it while walking. I think it's pretty straightforward walk from the railway station to the Checkers Hotel where Mr. Burt and his Acon is happening. So had a look, and I was reminded by the fact that Mr. Ashley Woolger, shout out from Gollum's Gamers, shout out, here we go, is my matchup first round. He did message me yesterday with a cryptic message saying something like, let's go, and had a quick look. And he did send a GIF as well with the Eye of Sauron, and I didn't really think much to that. But I now know what the full list is. The Witch King, the Dark Marshal, Razgush, and who was the other one? Oh, something else. Gorebag. So a bit of an old edition throwback. This one is the Legions of the Great Eye. The Army of the Great Eye. The Army of the Great Eye. I've got the Legions of Mordor. So this is the one where you've got like a little token that moves around that represents the Eye of Sauron, which is pretty cool. And it's like a banner. I think it has some courage effects as well. But also, big concern. There's two casters. Dark Marshal's the one with the banner effect, so he's got a banner effect, and also the big eye that hovers around giving you banner effects. So he's going to have a lot of rerolls everywhere. I think it was around 50 models, a little bit more than 50 models. I think it was less than me. That's right, 48. I've got 49. So, yeah. You've got more models, I've got more models, but his will actually be fighting in the line. So I guess that makes a big difference. Now, I'll give more analysis in a second when I've checked the map. So I know where I'm going. Okay, I've had a look at the map. It's pretty straightforward. Lovely looking place. Look at this. Little old town in the background. That's very nice. Anyway, so double caster, Dark Marshal and the Witch King. The plus side, he's just got orcs. Lots of orcs, but he's got orcs. I think there's a couple of bats in there from Razgus's Warband, which is pretty cool, and a spider, Mirkwood spider. I don't know how I feel. I think it'll be very scenario dependent, because ideally I'd be able to utilise my severed heads against the orcs, which will be an absolutely devastating to him, because he doesn't appear to have any, unless I missed something, doesn't appear to have much in the way of courage bonuses. So he's got obviously 2 ring wraiths, which are good for standfasts, but I think the severed heads would play havoc if I've got a chance to shoot them. The unusual way this tournament is run, though, is it's got a veto system, which is odd. Well, there's not many. I haven't really encountered veto in the new edition, but essentially, you get you choose a scenario each that you will not play. So it's called the burn it scenario, and then you choose a scenario that you prefer not to play. And then I think you somehow, I can't remember the rest of it actually. If all the scenarios have been burned, or I don't know, something. Anyway, basically the long and short of it is, you might end up playing a scenario you're not that chuffed about, but you might end up playing a scenario you're kind of okay with. So, but you're not going to play a scenario that you absolutely hate. So, hopefully I'll be able to burn some of the scenarios that start in the middle, because I think that would be bad for me. I want to be able to get a couple of shooting. I have some cavalry, but he has bats, so he has a bit more mobility, but I mean, it's not the most intimidating of mobility, I guess. But I also don't have a big hero, really, other than Namdor, that he can halve the fight value of, so I don't know. It should be all right. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I'm really excited, because look at this place. Absolutely gorgeous. Well posh, isn't it? Not like old Lincolnshire. Got a little poppy display up. We're going to be at a hotel in a minute, which is run by Bert. Berticon is run by Bert Leach, legend of the community, and he has run this, I think, 2 years now. No, this is the 2nd year. And he got a name for himself the first year because he has some real comedy prizes, like he has a big cardboard cutout of himself and stuff like that, which is really funny. Really enjoyed that. And has a unique system of giving away prizes, which includes basically everyone who wins a game, or everyone who attends a game or something, gets a raffle ticket or a poker chip or something. And then you kind of draw a raffle prize out of that somehow, or I'm not really sure. I should probably have looked at more detail, but let's be honest, whoever reads the pack for these sort of events, so it should be good. Looking forward to stumbling into this lovely hotel, playing some toys, catching up with some cool dudes, but giving the Gollums gamers a good thumping. Right, let's crack on.
We will have a tea and coffee station from 10 o'clock once the hotel breakfast is finished. So if you just go that way into the main bar area, time allowing, do help yourselves, and Trey being very intimidating for us.
Lovely stuff. Right. So, welcome along to the podcast, Mr. Ash Woolger.
Thanks very much. Hello, everybody.
Hello. So, hopefully this works audio-wise and video-wise, but we'll see. So, first of all, Ash, before we get into the stuff, just give us a rundown. Okay. What is your army? What have you got here with you this weekend? You've got it on a little
I've got a little
tablet.
whiteboard. Shout out to Nick for making this for me. I've got the Witch King, the Dark Marshal, Razgoosh, and Gorbag. So it's a sort of Army of the Great Eye combination. Getting that double banner with the eye itself, a real banner, and the Dark Marshal getting that 6-inch banner, which triple banner, which we know is so important to me.
Yeah.
I've got 48 models, 2 bats, a spider, a drum, which was very key in this game.
Very important, yeah.
And basically a 50-50 split of Morannon front line and Orc back line.
Yeah, it's really strong. So, yeah, was it 48 models?
48,
so I had a slight advantage on the model count, but of course, I've got Haradrim warriors in there that are lower defence. I've also got the siege crew, which basically don't fight in the line. So really, you had a big advantage, unless I was managing to chop down much in the shooting phase. Now, the unusual veto system we have in play here means that basically we each choose a scenario that we burn, that we're definitely not going to play, and then we each choose a scenario which we're kind of half and half okay with playing. Yeah. And so you chose to veto the exact opposite of what I chose, which is reassuring for me, because I thought, I'm going to get this bit wrong. I don't know where I wrote them down. It's quite early on in the book. And I got rid of Contest of Champions because I thought...
That would have been very bad.
It would have been really bad, because I knew the contest... I just get magic to death with the double casters. And I also thought I want to be able to lob some rocks and some siege ballistas, so I definitely didn't want to be deploying in the middle. And I went with rather not go for assassination for a similar sort of reason that I thought that... I don't know, I just thought that I'd be casted to death, and that
the double magic would make that really hard for your heroes. Should be
and also I'd have to protect the siege veteran, which you could just black dart
against 2 bats flying
over, whatever it was. So I thought those were the ones, and so that left you veto to the death, understandably.
Yeah.
Shooting, I guess, was the main concern.
To the death, it means I deploy 12 inches, and I have to face way more turns of rock and siege bow, and also you've got the Golden King as your banner, which you wouldn't have risked into the death because it's worth so many points.
That's right.
So yeah, definitely didn't want to play that.
So we ended up, after a roll-off, it went to Laws of Battle. So that was the one that you were less keen on, but still not horrendously against. And obviously you deploy halfway up, but I can still deploy right at the back, which I did. Yeah. And I chose, you'll hopefully be able to see from the video, I chose to castle up in a corner to try and protect my siege.
Some nice pieces of difficult terrain.
Yeah, some difficult terrain and some just seeming like, because I figured I'd try and get my 5 Easterling pike block in a gap. Yeah. Ideally, Morannon's in the front, and then I could wrap round with some African guard and fill the gaps in, and then hopefully just be able to hold you off. I mean, first of all, what did you think to that deployment? Did you fancy your chances?
So the Orcs, supported by the Easterlings, was really good because I don't get my man hatred, so the man rule which makes Morannon's fight 4. So you did actually chop through me in that pipe block until I was sent in the Witch King and Razgoosh, because I need that fight 6 to go in there and kill those dudes. Yeah. I think unfortunately the African Guard are really good at killing. Yeah. At D4, they lose a fight, especially when I've got my triple banner. Yeah. You lost a lot of fights, and then they're quite easy to kill.
Yeah. Especially when you got Morannons and some other stuff. Well, just Morannons.
Because Morannons got the fight 4 against them, right?
Yeah, fight 4 and the strength 4 as well. So yeah, they're going down pretty quick after every other combat. But I mean, there weren't loads that they were sort of dotted about, and even there's still some left over. But yeah, you're right. They started crumbling in the wrong way. But I think the crucial thing here was, as you mentioned, your double caster. I knew going into this game that double caster was going to be a real pain in the arse. Yeah, because you could just transfix or compel, which you did a couple of times. Yeah, it's compelling the Golden King backwards because he is your main banner. Obviously, Ander also counts as a banner for Easterlings, but you didn't want to. Basically, what happened was Harry unfortunately lost 3 roll-offs in a row, 3 move-offs, which doesn't help, right? Yeah. The second roll-off went to Ash in a row. But I was able to just magic his boys backwards, so he had no banner. Yeah. So even though you had the better sort of battle line, I just rolled more dice, which always helps. Yeah, and I ummed and ahed about the resisting the some of those compels early on. So I think you threw about 2 or 3 each of them, but you got quite high rolls. And I was like, well, I might just tank it for a couple of turns, knowing that I'll be able to then use my ability later on, or maybe if I get a good hit with the catapult 7 heads, that I might be able to make one of your heroes run away, which are important. So I sort of ummed, but I think probably should have spent it earlier on. Do you think?
Either spend it earlier on, or just have some of the deep, like these archers that you had. You could have had them behind.
Yeah. Just fence them off. And I deployed that like that early on, but I think I sort of fiddled everything backwards because I'd moved backwards early on. Yeah. I sort of moved all my line backwards to try and give myself more shooting. And I think, that you're right. When I deployed thinking about it, but then forgot about it in the first move.
It's really easily done.
Yeah. So
you're like, what can you do? You transfix me, that's fine. But actually, just like because the banner's only 3 inches and I compel 3 inches backwards, it's like, I've now got no banner anywhere.
Yeah. And I actually did think it was a 6-inch banner, which was stupid. So it's just a normal banner. And maybe
not quite as good as Sully.
No, exactly. Maybe I was thinking of Amber when he's got the kill, or something like that. But because if he kills a leader, he does get a 6-inch banner, which is handy, but only for Easterlings.
Yeah.
And as you say, those move-offs were kind of important because it meant my heroes were never really where I wanted them to be because you just kept getting the magic.
More importantly, you couldn't tag my wraiths.
Yes.
Because I had to get them in the front
that's
to
what
do
I mean,
the killing. If you'd have won one of those move-offs, you tagged them. And you could have failed courage checks, right?
True.
But,
it must be said, though, I was very lucky against those raids because I think both of them, I got spiked a really lucky combat or shot. I think the bowman against the Dark Marshal managed to go through a few in the ways to take out the Dark Marshal's horse so early on, which was ace. And then the Witch King lost his first round of combat against 2 bowmen. So those Haradrim, and they're still alive. The Haradrim bowmen, despite being defense 4, are still alive right at the end of the game. But they managed to kill 2 hero horses, which was very important. But I think ultimately the thing here is that my army just wasn't big enough. The stuff that I spent the points on, the catapult and the siege bow, just didn't deliver enough. I think I got 3 or 4 kills maybe with the siege bow in the end, which is 25 points worth.
Well, the siege bow directly hit Razgush.
It did.
And then failed to wound him. And only knocked him back 2 inches, which is okay.
So it wasn't quite... And then I got another hit on someone a few inches in front of Razgush, which was really good. And if I'd got a 4 maybe or a 5 on the roll, I'd have definitely knocked him. And maybe even the Dark Marshal past him. So there was a couple of potential big swings there. And I also made a big mistake early on with the severed heads, because the severed heads... you just scattered it into the range of the Dark Marshal, who has the command.
Or a command, which means I was past the courage text. So nothing happens.
Yeah, so I made a bit of a boo-boo there. But I think generally I was quite happy with the deployment, quite happy with how the line sort of fought. Maybe should have taken that that compel resist earlier on. But in the end, the Witch King managed to, after a couple of turns, and take out the Golden King of Abrakan with the help of some banners and stuff like that.
I got unlucky and then lucky, right? Because so I lost the fight against the Golden King.
First turn. Yeah.
But then to wound, you only did 1 wound.
Yeah.
And Burley, plus 1, you're only needing 5, so you could have spiked down.
I could have killed him completely. Yeah, I think I only got 2, didn't I? No,
I'm not sure. You got 1 wound.
One wound.
I fated it. Then I spent the might.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I would have spent the 2 might to resist that spell.
Yeah, maybe that
because having 2 might at the end of the game would have been
essential. And I hadn't, because they were so far back I probably should have been thinking about the long game, because actually when I spent that might, I was thinking we're coming close to the end, but actually we had about 45 minutes left.
Yeah.
Which was really stupid. Yeah, I think I was thinking if I get my banner in and then win the roll off, which I didn't, then I might be able to get Amber in a good spot. But I think because a combination of spending the 2 points of might, then losing all of the move-offs, all three move-offs, I think I won a heroic combat or whatever, but such is life.
That's true. You did manage to kill Gorebag.
I got Gorebag. So it wasn't all a loss. I got myself a VP. So in the end, it was a 12-1 loss on the old Lords of Battle, because I think you got 39 kills and I got 28, so I wasn't a million miles off, as I say. A couple of turns choosing where the combats were, maybe I'd have been okay. Sure. And certainly stopping the magic, I might have been able to get Amber in combat, but it was only really in the last couple of turns that Amber actually did anything, and he still got point of might left in his caddy after killing Gorebag. So time of heroes. Congratulations, Ash.
Thank you, Aaron.
Great game.
Many thanks.
I managed to deny you some VPs, but it will be down to the bottom tables I go after a disastrous loss to the Golems gamers. Maybe I'll be playing Elliot, who's obviously lost as well.
Absolutely.
I
can't imagine he's won.
Shade. Excellent. Right. Good luck for the next of the round.
Because I'd forgotten mine, Bert kindly lent me a movement tray for my army, and then I found I was faced up. against the most unlikely of players.
Game 2 here at Verticon. Very excited to be playing Mr. Alex Temple. Very excited. We don't have a lot of time because our game ran to time again for me. And we're playing Sites of Power, which is the new Maelstrom mission where you have the 4 objectives. They give random bonuses occasionally throughout the game. And Alex, what have you brought to the tournament?
I brought Muster of Isengard. It's 53 models total. Saruman, Grima, 2 captains, Vrasku from Legends, which I'm very excited about, first time in this edition.
Nice.
And then a whole bunch, nine other fucking guys with the 2 swords, sorry for swearing.
Berserkers.
And a bunch of other guys.
We are very in a rush, so we'll keep this fairly swift. But first of all, Maelstrom, we spent a lot of resources. We delayed coming on.
Forever, yeah.
It took absolutely ages for us to get on
And then
the
we
board.
changed up on our own sides of the board anyway.
Yeah, so
Oh my God, they're already here.
how did I mean? These people are really, really wanting this table.
Yeah.
So first, did you have any kind of inkling at the start of the game as to where you would wanted to be in this, or did you have a plan of any kind?
I did. I didn't. You were really worried about your siege engines.
Yeah.
And me coming onto your. That was never my plan. Uruk-hai, Pike Block, and the Berserkers work best when they're just in a line, walking forward, turn by turn by turn.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be together more than anything. I would have rather been together on my side of the board than split up, but with a bit of power behind your siege engines. But it didn't work out like that. You split me up, which was good, and then you tried to take advantage of it, but the dice had other plans.
Yeah, I think eventually I got the Golden King over to one side of the board. I think it was the 4th turn after I rolled a 1 a few times, and I'd used Gurrett's special ability to drop it down from a 2 to a 1 early on in the game. But and I had a chance to grab basically dominance over one objective. My leader, I had a full warband of Haradrim with the bows and everything, and it was just the captain and a load of shields, so it felt very easily sort of possible to kill this. But like that very first turn, I don't think it was. Like, I didn't dominate you. Like I didn't have loads of models there, but there was just that sense that I had lots of one-on-ones, and I was wounding you on 4s and everything. And I won about half the fights, but didn't wound anything. And you won all of the others and then killed with everything.
Every fight
Suddenly
I got
it
killed,
swung straight back to you immediately.
And it carried on right until the last turn. The last turn you started to fight. Obviously, that's the fickle fate telling you that this is what you could have had.
Yeah.
It's so sweet, just out of reach.
It was really brutal. And I think you quite cleverly realised early on, after blasting Amder off his horse and doing a couple of bits of magic with Saruman over this objective that's around here, where Amder and most of the Pike Block were standing. You quite sensibly moved Saruman over to support and attack the Golden King, which was very, very sensible.
Then did it in an eminently unsensible manner.
Really bad idea. So I mean, you spent 3 turns, I think, compelling the troll away when you could have two, and you blasted the Golden King instead of transfixing him and stopping being able to use his Lure of Wealth special rule. So there was a lot of stuff that I felt like you kept sort of just about almost getting the chance to do something really bad to it, and then kind of just suddenly swerving at the last moment. So you kept like pulling the steering wheel away from the potential kill.
And yet I still won, so what's to say about you?
Sorry, I've ruined the surprise. You have ruined the surprise. Yeah, that's true. So in the end, the result was a measly 5-4 to you. So very, very close 5-4 victory.
It did feel quite empty because we won it. We were tied in objectives. Sorry if we're about to get to this. No, we're tied in objectives. I won it because I wounded your most expensive non-leader model, and you didn't wound my most expensive non-leader model. But neither of us had realised that was a rule during the game.
Yeah.
And so it was just like, at the end I was like, oh, it's tied. I was like, oh, there's a bit we didn't know. So
yes,
it did feel a bit fluky. It didn't feel very tactical.
Yeah, and I think, there's not a lot that I could have done about it, because Vrasku was way out of combat most of the game. He only joined in for the very last minute, called a heroic move, and then you realised you didn't want to call it, so he just didn't call with me.
Well, I just forgot about it.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And then we have realised the only fair thing to do is that you just sat there.
Yeah.
Lemon.
So it was like you say, a little bit hollow right at the end, but the fights are so good that we had this beautiful spread of stuff. The catapult got one shot managed before Grimmer took it away, and then the catapult crew killed Grimmer in one go after that. I managed to kill I think three things ran away because of the catapult severed heads, which is good, but not amazing. And then the bolt thrower, I think, delivered a real value in this game. Like the previous game, I think it killed like 2 or 3 orcs, maybe 4. This game, it felt like he was constantly a threat, constantly dealing damage, and definitely paid for his points.
I do have to wonder what the game would have been like if I decided to bring Grimmer into the middle of the board for the might shenanigans rather than destroyed the catapult, because obviously, yes, great, I'd have been able to turn off a few of the combats and things, but actually, I think that would have swung it. I think you'd have taken enough bodies off the table that I wouldn't have been able to hold the line when it came to the late game.
Well, the way that we deployed was so far apart. Like your crossbows in particular were like literally one corner to the other corner, and I would have been able to fire heads at them constantly for turn after turn. And if you failed, I think the first turn I got 6 people, you failed 3 of the courage checks. If that had happened, even if it was 1 or 2 every turn, it would have been 5, 6 turns of that. That's 10, 12. And then I could have been lobbing into combats later on in the game. It would have been massive. But I'm not sure Grimmer... I mean, my heroes didn't really do a lot of work. Amder got knocked off his horse, and then his heroic combats weren't very useful. And then I think, we should say, when he got knocked off his horse, he rolled 2 6s, 1 to wound him, 1 on the thrown rider test.
I felt very lucky.
So he was wounded right from the start, because I just didn't bother resisting it, because I knew Saruman was then going to be able to, transfix him and stuff. But anyway, round 3 has literally started, so I don't know how that's possible.
Lovely game. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Here we go.
Because we're not on the top tables. It doesn't matter.
A lovely and generous sentiment from the next of my opponents. We're on to the next round and the final one of the day.
So, game number 3 here at Berticon. After 2 disastrous losses, first one to Ash Woolger, second to Alex Temple. I'm now on table 23 against Zahir. Welcome along to the podcast. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. I mean, it still always feels silly this to say hello, because we've just spent 2.5 hours grueling game at the end of a very hot and sweaty day. But before we reveal the result, let's just build up to the big moment. What army have you brought to
Minas Morgul.
Minas Morgul. Just tell me about your army.
So I've gone for something quite ridiculous. I've gone for triple Fell Beast. So I've gone for the Witch King on Fell Beast with 2 ring wraiths on Fell Beast.
Yeah.
Still got 50 models, because I've got lots of normal Mordor orcs.
Yeah.
A Spectre and a Banner. So nice and simple.
Because most people go for like a few Spectres and maybe like some of the sort of orky heroes or like orc captains perhaps to get like loads of oomph for the what's it called, the Spectre
of the Dead.
But you didn't go for that.
No.
And I'm guessing that reason is because you've got such awesome ring wraith conversions going on.
I was like, to be honest with you, I was just like, I just wanted to be a bit more fun. Like I don't like taking conventional lists, because I'm not good enough to play and get a hard win. So I just thought I'd take some silly things that I'll enjoy.
I think that seems wise. And so going into this, I can't even remember what the veto system delivered, but did you? When we ended up playing the Treasure Hoard, which is one of the objective scenarios after some vetoing. We ended up playing Treasure Hoard up against my catapult, the siege bow, the Golden King, and all these things. What did you think? Did you fancy your chances at the start of the game?
I was quite scared of your catapults. Honestly,
I think that's wise.
just playing. Playing against catapults means you have to always think about that as an additional threat. And 7 heads with just orcs is going to just die very quickly. So
it's always something to think about. But of course, this is, if people don't remember Treasure Hoard, this is the one where you've got 6 objectives scattered out sort of in the 2 lines in the middle, 2 sets of 3. So like usually it's like both armies manage to get 3. And then you're kind of fighting to see it, try and grab one from the other and all that sort of stuff. So with you having the ring wraiths, obviously you can't dig the objectives up, but you have that long threat range. So did you have like an idea of maybe let me pick some stuff up and then just swoop in afterwards? Because it seemed like that happened.
Yeah, I mean, the thing was I was quite scared of putting them too far forward and just getting catapulted off the board, because having played today, I've just been sniped out quite a lot. So I kind of was a bit more tentative with them, and then I just thought I'll just send them in later, like you said, just to snipe out the guys, just to compel or something, just to get them away. But I was just terrified of a catapult.
To be fair, and probably quite rightly, but I was conversely terrified of just the magical potential. I mean, I said going into this that casting is probably the one thing that I'm not very comfortable against. And I've faced 3 in one, 4 because of Cardiff as well. Lots of magic here. Amder spent so much of the game just completely out of action. He's still alive, but because he just kept winning the fights. But he was transfixed a lot. I think he blasted some fireballs at him. Did some damage. That you had a terrible turn of casting once where you were on like double 1 and everything, but it was still combined. It was still enough to sort of overwhelm Amder.
Just that weight.
Charge in.
Nice.
On his way in, he's going to do a transfix on Amder.
Nice,
I'm going to chop 2 will at it.
Even though you've only got 10 will, with the ring wraiths. You just sort of use them to get what you need.
That's it. Just 2 dice, and you've got like 4 potential spells, and maybe it's probably more like 3 and a couple of combats and stuff like that. But still, it was very powerful. And then, of course, you've got the monsters that got
they're disgusting.
Yeah, because I've got pike blocks, those Easterlings absolutely got destroyed. I think there was one turn where you called heroic combat with the Witch King and one of the ring wraiths, and I think it went from me having done like 10 kills from the shooting and stuff like that, and then some early wins with Amda and the Golden King, to then you just sort of catching up immediately to having like 10 kills on the tally from Witch King.
I killed 8, didn't I, with the 2 ring wraiths just going, and I think I misplayed a bit by going into ambush, try and sort of, flash or get a flash kill.
To be fair, he was immobilised at the time, so there's no downside to you. But if you could cleared out some more of the trash instead, maybe it would have been worth it.
It was ridiculous.
But having said that, the sort of the line fight, I think, was going my way. Because early on, I'd sort of sent the Golden King. He grabbed one of the first objectives because you've got this weird bubble deployment where you sort of have to stay within the 12 thing. So you're kind of more likely to get the middle one, and then the outer 2 you have to go into. So I sent out, and then everything kind of combined in the middle, in this ruin in the middle. And I think the line fights, I was killing stuff. I think you it only came up like halfway through the game as to what courage my guys were. We just didn't know. We didn't need to know.
Because I think because you were out fighting me as well.
Yeah.
It was just like, you just get
constantly out fighting you, constantly killing stuff. And I mean, I did eventually break and then almost course you, but not quite. But I think the problem was just those objectives. And you very carefully played that objective game. You got the objectives, took your time to do it. But the ring wraith got one eventually. Although my Golden King had one, your other ring wraith kind of jumped over the lines to grab one off a black dragon and stuff like that. So it felt like I was always I never quite got that chance to pull the guys in to really bubble and protect them because you always had something hopping over the lines or doing something like that.
I think it's a real. I would maybe drop a few orcs to put a couple of spectres in. Because I think just being able to just yank people out.
You didn't even do it. You never did it once.
No, because I just think, you've got one. But the Witch King was there, so why would I care? I just let the Witch King do his thing.
That's true.
But it's I think it's very interesting.
It was a tough one, and then getting up to the final stage, I was very aware that we were ending on a quarter, so I was being really cautious and careful. I had it all planned out.
You played that perfectly.
I was like, thank you for saying, because I want to say I did.
You didn't know, because I was like, I can just die now and perfect, I'll win. And then you were like, oh well, I've got loads of shields, so I'm just going to shield everywhere. And I was like, great, now what am I going to do?
Prolonging the game as long as I could in order to push onto those objectives, and the catapult was doing the right stuff. And there was a couple of clutch direct hits in the late turns, which cleared out some of the bodies. And I even knocked one of the guy with one of your objectives. He failed his courage check and ran away, so you dropped one of them. But there were 2 combats that I needed, one of them to go my way, and sadly they didn't. But one was a Golden King and a Haradrim against Kardush. I won the fight, but failed to kill Kardush, which I'll be honest,
it was not. It felt dirty.
It was unlucky.
It was not.
I needed 3s to wound Kardush. His defense 4, and I got 1 wound out of the 4, which I didn't have any might at this point, obviously. But
then you re-rolled your 1, so you got another 1, but then I fated it and I passed it.
Exactly.
The thing was the roll-offs and stuff went a lot my way, and I think it's horrible to say it if you're the person who's on the bad side of it, but I will say it as the person who got it, I got a lot of luck.
Thank you for saying that. The people need to know.
Exactly. I stole the win from it.
I think over the course of today, I've won 1 in this game. I might have won 1 in the previous game, but it's as good as.
It was very unlucky.
It's been really, really demoralising, because especially when I feel like I'm in it. I've got a chance, and then another thing's just not gone quite my way. But I should say, you've played it really well as well, because I was thinking early on, I'm surprised you didn't cast much magic early on, but you clearly had played the game twice with these ring wraiths, knowing how much will you've got, and knowing that you've got to be really careful, and you did. You were absolutely bang on the money, because I was thinking you're letting the Golden King and Amda just churn, and I was thinking, what are you doing? You got 2 ring wraiths here. Why aren't they casting?
Well, the thing is, they just die so easily because they've got 1 wound, 1 fate, and they're big bases. You can trap them very easily.
All they need to do is whiff that 1 dice.
And it's just like one misplay and you're done.
And there were a few chances. I mean, with both ring wraiths, I think there were a couple of times when I got to that I think either a four up or a 3 up, depending on whether I two-handed or not, to kill the ring wraith. And I was like, there were a couple of times I'm like, come on, and it just didn't quite happen.
I was quite lucky that you were only fight 4, so I could just go, the ring wraiths just churn through chaff. But I'll just roll 6s, you know.
And that's partly because, maybe I fell for the bait. Not that it was intentionally set, maybe by the sounds of it. I don't know. But like Amder, he was churning through. He was pushing down the centre, and the Easterlings were on the right, so they were all fight 4, and they could have been fight 5 if they were close to Amder, which was. So like, as much as I'll decry my bad luck, and I do think I did get some unlucky moments. I think the reality is there were ways that I could have mitigated that loss by doing things slightly differently to give myself better chance of winning, and ultimately it came down to 8-5 in the end. So, and I'll labour the point that if I had killed Cardiff last turn,
you would have done.
You'd have gone 6, and I'd have gone to 7. So
it would have been
on a dice roll.
I think either way, if you'd won or I'd won, it reflected. The game
I think so, because I mean I've got 24 dead, so only a few more to break. But you were
almost quartered.
So I decisively there. But a couple of things here and there. It could have been my game, but look, if ifs and buts, we can do nuts. We'd all have a Merry Christmas. So as a here, absolute pleasure. A great game, and best of luck for the rest of the time.
You too.
You know what you need after 3 losses at the gaming table? Meat, cheese, more cheese, and wine, served by the wonderful Bert, sporting an Entmoot t-shirt. And that's what we got at the evening social for BertCon. It was fantastic.
For a bonus point, name them all. If you don't name them all properly, you lose the point. You lose the point.
You join me at another railway station. We've had the evening meal. Hopefully you've seen that. Hopefully I've edited it expertly so you can see that. But wanted to just do a little bit of a rundown of the day. Obviously, disappointing. I went into this, said at the start of the game, and I was full of vim and verve about my hopes to do the Fellow Bellies, my team in the GBHL, proud. And I've had a catastrophic day. I don't think I've ever had this where I've lost all 3 games over the course of a day. I mean, Entmoot super fans who listen obsessively to every episode multiple times may well have remember a time and correct me, but it certainly feels like it's a long time. I think Ardicon, maybe not this year, but last year or the year before, and I think I won like 2 games total over the whole weekend out of 6. And that was probably one of the worst times that I've had at a tournament. This time, 3 games, and I feel like it's very much a plausibility to do the same again, if not worse. The level of play is really good. All 3 of my opponents were fantastic today. Ash he's obviously a top table player. He wins podiums, wins tournaments, gets podiums. You may notice I've had a few wines. And then Alex, he was playing really well, and he had a great army that was really good against mine. And Zahir had a really well matched army against mine as well. I'll be honest. I think on a different day, I might have had it. I might have had a win. Like I might have had a few wins, because it felt like every single one of my games, the reason I lost felt like not necessarily down to failures. It was more down to, I hate saying it, there must have been something I could do, but it does feel like I got unlucky today. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. But look, we've got another day. We've got 3 games. If I get 3 out of 3, I'm happy.
And so it was to bed, in high hopes of a match-up against the Grand Army of the South the next day.
Had a few wines, very good value wine as well, actually, and then played some poker, which I haven't played poker in years. Came 3rd, didn't get my money back, but oh well, it was good fun. Shout out to Rich and Josh, who did get some money. But yeah, so heading back over to Checkers, you may notice I'm now in my car. Had a couple of wines last night, so I deliberately left my car at home and went on the train, which was a bit of excitement for you. And for you. As if it was more interesting for you to watch that. But anyway, So I'm heading over now. I think I did discuss it a little bit last night about what I think I'm playing. I've got a Grand Army of the South, I think, this morning. I don't think the round's actually up yet. But I thought I'd just have a little bit more thought about it while heading over. Because I obviously had a night of decent sleep, but not great sleep. Sleeping on a sofa bed. And I think the Grand Army, so it was like Amber, 2 Dragon Knights, Dalamir, and the crossbows. That's what I missed out of my thing yesterday. My summary of the thing of the list that I probably am playing. The crossbows. There's like 15 crossbows or something like that, which is insane numbers of crossbows. So the shooting war, it's hard to know. I think I'd probably win the shooting war because I can just pelt severed heads at a load of crossbowmen and they just all run away. Whether he decides to go for it or not, I don't know. But obviously that will just simply depend on the scenario as to how useful those crossbowmen will be. Because in some ways I kind of want him to stand and do nothing with 15 of his models except shoot crossbows here and there. Terrain is fairly dense. Nothing super heavy. Nothing super like detailed or like not like sort of sculpted landscaped boards, but just really nice, decent scatter terrain boards, which is good. But I'm not sure whether that helped me or not in the long run. So it just comes down to the scenarios. I'm trying to work out which ones we've got left. We had the objective ones, we had the maelstrom ones, and we had the killing ones. So you'll probably know what that leaves. I actually have no idea. What haven't we done? I don't know. We haven't done the manoeuvring ones, I think. So, just double checking which way I'm going. Yeah, I'm merging onto the M4, so that's fine. So manoeuvring. I've got some cavalry. This guy has a lot of dragon cult acolytes, but not a lot of cavalry, from what I could tell. So yeah, he's got a really weird list of stuff. It seems to me like someone who has brought a list of the cool stuff with crossbows and throwing weapons. So I'm intrigued as to whether this will work or not. But anyway, they've obviously done badly yesterday, and will probably be similarly hoping for a win this morning against me. So that's coming up, and then we've got I think just one more game. It must only be one more game, unless it's a late finish. I don't know, but my Bambino has been ill overnight, yesterday, and Mrs. P did sort of say he'd been having a really rough time of it. So I haven't heard from her yet this morning, but hopefully he's had a bit more of a restful night, because otherwise I might have to throw in the towel, which would really suck, because obviously baby comes first, but I just really, really don't want to drop out of the tournament having taken 3 losses and not sort of reclaimed any of my my dignity, especially for the fella bellies, my GBHL team. So we'll see how it goes, but yeah, if baby is as ill as he was yesterday, from what Weezy said, he's just had a constant cough since they went to nursery. Basically, it's been really annoying, but it just keeps flaring up and stuff. So hopefully he's a bit better this morning after having had a night's sleep. But we'll see. Anyway, onwards and upwards. Got some beautiful sunrises again. You might be able to just make out in the background. And down the M4 off to Newbury for the second day of Berticon. So it's the morning after the night before, and just travelled in and joined now here for a very exclusive interview here on Entmoot Video for the first time. It's Mr. Bert Leach.
Hello, Mr. Parker.
Thank you very much for coming and joining me, and for inviting me along to this tournament, Berticon. It's got your name on the tin. You must be very proud of it.
I'm delighted. This is the second time that we've run it as Berticon. We've run it as a one-day 90 here a couple of years back.
Right.
We had Atomic Berticon last year, Berticon 2 this year, and looking forward to Berticon 3 next year. Exciting. Well, obviously, it's got your name on it. You're embracing the sort of humour of that a little bit. We've seen the cardboard cutouts of you as prizes. What's the sort of ethos behind Berticon? So the idea of Berticon, I went to a few hundreds and I had a really good time, but then I felt people kind of just dispersed afterwards. So the two main reasons: one, I want to keep everyone together as far as possible. Yeah. So I've always used this hotel, and then I've either done like dinner here last year, or last night we had
I think, very enjoyable dinner at my restaurant here in town. And I think we got, it was maybe about 30. We ended up with about 35, 40.
It was absolutely rammed in there, wasn't it? Yeah, it was great.
But that means that everyone has that enjoyment of actually hanging out together, getting that significant of community feel to it.
That's something that that's what made me enjoy this hobby, the community, the tournament scene in particular of the GBHL, is that those initial ones that I went to had the pub thing and the dinner and the quiz and all that sort of stuff, and it's very much emulating that, because I think maybe as people at the sort of average age of people is going up into the sort of mid-30s, people going, all right, okay, back to home for the night, maybe not going out raving until 4 o'clock in the morning like we once did, that sort of stuff. But it's nice to have that sort of perhaps more adult feel.
It matters to me. So my first GBHL event was actually yours. Lord of the Imps first went off the lockdown.
Yeah,
it was all in pods. We all hung out with the same people.
Oh yes, that was because of COVID. That was where everyone had to stay in little groups, but that forced you to sort of hang around it and have lunch in those groups. And
we had a lot of people did an evening quiz. We got pizza in together. It was really cool. So it's that, and then I liked the idea of a sort of more level playing fields, and there's bits of the new edition that I felt could be tweaked. So another part of Verticon is basically things that I get cross about with the rules and giving it a bit of a fix.
I was going to say, so that was going to be my next point, was there are restrictions on monsters, there are changes to Grimmer. I mean, just give us a quick rundown on all the detail of the stuff that you've tweaked.
So monsters, I felt like some of the brutal power attacks they're really cool brutal power attacks, but I think that they may have been overdone a little bit. So Hurl is essentially written as a laser-guided howitzer with like night bust abilities to shrink through gaps and then reopen again.
Yeah.
So very simply, Hurl requires in the ways.
Right. Yeah.
Which I think makes a lot of sense. And then Barge, you said it in a very dull way, but as things stand, you can actually get to a hero that's like behind 3 ranks of troops, that's like 4 or 5 inches away, and it doesn't feel the way the rules are intended. So I've just ruled it that the monster can barge the model he's fighting out of the way and spear support, but the controlling player of those models can choose whether or not they make way.
Right.
That means, you can move.
So you can still protect those heroes.
You can still protect those heroes. There's not going to be any of those horrible gotcha moments.
Right.
So that's the thing on monsters, and you can only have one hero monster.
Yeah, although there is an exception in the pack, which I'm going to have a bone consent. It says in the pack, but ring wraiths are fine, because ring wraiths on Felby, so monstrous cavalry.
Yes.
I ended up playing 3 of them yesterday in one game.
I apologise.
So I mean, to be fair, he wasn't barging or hurling very much, but it was still devastating.
It was a bit much,
especially with the forecasters. But anyway, go on.
So then, following Harry's podcast about Army of the White Hand, I ruled that the lightning counts as being cast on a natural 6.
Yeah, so you can have a chance.
So
of
you
resisting.
can try and resist it. You can use resources, but it could save troops. So there's some interplay there. It's not like nerfing it. This is just some interplay. And then I just took a bit of a dump on Grimmer.
Yeah, I mean, it is weird that he can move through stuff.
So I ruled that he can't move through stuff, and then if he is deployed with the enemy, then he counts as dominant 0.
Right.
So you can't, and if it's like moving heroes off the board, you can't score VPs for that. It just means that he essentially works much more like last edition. He can hang around, he can be a pest, he can do the might stuff, he can get in the way, and that feels a bit more Grimmery.
Yeah.
Whereas if he was with your own army, he can be Grimmery and he can score as an evil model, which again to me feels like the way the rules are intended. As a sort of archlord of knowing how the rules are meant to be intended, I know these things.
Yeah.
I think the last one was just for contest. The new deployment is
it's just silly.
It's
just
silly.
We tweaked it at a lot of the imps as well.
Yeah, I think it just I don't
just feels wrong.
Choosing a champion's super cool, and it really fixes the scenario. Especially at high points, you can do some really cool stuff and get big heroes in. But then you can just roll like dross for deployment, and it can just ruin your
and you can just have your whole army just completely ganked by, your leader warband ganked by their whole army. Yeah.
So the idea is just it's not absolutely busted like silly game altering tweaks, but it's just enough to try and remove some feel bad moments.
Excellent. And so with that in mind, I mean, you've had a much better eye on the top tables than I have, having lost all of my games yesterday. And what's doing well?
So we've, in an incredible twist of fate, we are seeing Mr. David Farmer on top table, absolutely shocking. With his Master of Isengard, which
that's something new because I don't know whether he's won it before, but he's done Army of White Hand and stuff, but not Muster. Is that right?
Not Master. I think it's
anyway.
turning into a bit of a go-to at high points. I think Saruman's very, very, very strong. Green mode with more heroes around gets very effective.
Yeah.
Especially without my rules. And then, the actual battle line. Now that Berserkers are 5/5, there's so many lists that it just shredded its way through. Yeah. So even Elven battle lines, you're rolling about 2 Berserker dice, 2 Pike dice, and maybe a banner as well.
Yeah.
So even against just an Elf shield, an Elf spear, and a banner, you're still going to win that fight, and you're going to kill in every single fight that you win.
Yeah.
So it can just mow its way through. I think round 1 he played Minas Tirith.
Well,
and it was like a knife through butter. There's no counter.
Well, that's it. And there's we encountered it yesterday against Alex. There's the hatred men as well in there. So
Absolutely
you can
savage.
be wounding on, really,
3s,
really,
4s,
I think he was fighting me on 3s on the Abercan Guard, which was brutal. But yeah, so that's interesting. Dave Farmer, and he's up against in top round Kyle Bate.
And then Kyle's one of these guys who has an incredible history here at Berticon related events. The 90, he actually won it and won Best Painted. Last year, he won Best Painted again, and I think he only dropped 1 game. And here he is on top table again. Kyle's a fantastic burger, and he's on Men of the West, which is also very, very, very popular.
Interesting.
We do have, so even with the monster nuturations, we do have a lot of Gwaihirs floating around, and Elisar is just
he's so good.
Just an absolute beast of a model. He's so hard to pin down.
Yeah.
So hard to pin down.
Interesting. So those are the things at the top tables, but we're going into my 4th game, and I'm hoping for a win. And I was looking at the standings on Longshanks last night, and I thought I might be up against the Grand Army of the South, which had I think it had an Amdo and 2 Dragon Knights, but no, we've just done the draw, and that's not right. Can you reveal exclusively what I'm up against?
Harry's up against a Men of the West with a Gwaihir.
Oh,
yes.
Great.
There's one lovely lad here who's brought an absolutely stunning Spider Queen's Brood.
Yeah.
It's beautifully, beautifully painted. And he's managed to play Men of the West all 3 games so far. No. It is one of those lists that now that Elisar's resistant to magic, he's fight 7, he's fight 8 for a turn.
Yeah.
He's ridiculously hard to get off his horse. He's just good in every conceivable way.
And at these points, obviously, you're going to get quite a lot of heroes. So you're getting your Aragorn, Gwaihir, Leggy and Gimli, maybe,
yes,
or some other permutation of that. AMR's kicking about.
Aragorn, Gandalf.
I've seen a Gandalf in the shadow, Pippin as well.
He's kicking again, Gandalf with the hero horse and all the extra resources, monstrous to actually get off his horse.
Yeah.
And at these levels, if you've got these heroes like Gandalf, strength 5, Elisar's wounding on 4s, they can just cut a bloody swathe through battle lines, and there's very little that you can do about it.
Interesting. So one final thing, we don't know the scenario yet, but you might know the pools. Did you roll for it last night?
I have some recollection that we did roll a dice for pools.
Does someone actually remember?
At some point very, very late into last night. So we ended up rolling a dice on our poker table. And I think we rolled for pool 5 manoeuvring.
That is one of the ones. That is one of the ones left. So
that's
we've had a nod from.
We are going to play pool 5.
Excellent. So manoeuvring. So I've got to outmaneuver an eagle and an army with 3 marks.
You've got a drum, haven't you?
No.
Oh dear.
I only have 2 cavalries. So, we'll see how it goes. Well, but either way, it's been a cracking event so far. Really looking forward to this next game, even if I'm not fancying my chances greatly. Donald, he's a new player in Longshanks, so I've got that going for me. Maybe.
Donald is new, so he ended up messaging on Facebook to get involved, and then 2 days later ends up in my restaurant, having no idea that it was actually mine.
Oh right,
so he lovely local lad, just wants to get involved. His army looks beautiful.
Oh well,
there's a slowly growing scene of MESBG here in Newbury. Good to see.
Fantastic. Well, Bert, thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your event. So, game number 4 on day number 2 here at Berticon, playing up against Donald. Welcome along to the podcast / video.
Hello.
Thanks very much for joining us. First of all, is this your first ever Middle-earth tournament? Is that right?
Yes, and my 7th game.
7th game total. So you've had a bit of a drubbing yesterday, just like me.
Yes, yeah, with a really strong list.
I was going to say, what list?
So I'm running Men of the West.
Mm-hmm.
The 3 hunters, Gwaihir, an eagle, and then Warriors of Rohan and Warriors of Minas Tirith.
Yeah, and you've got, so it's relatively low in numbers, 35,
Yeah,
I think,
35.
which is quite low for the rest of the tournament generally. But obviously, you've got an Eagle, you've got Guy here, and you've got 3 of the best heroes in the game. So I can understand it, and it's one of those lists that has been talked up as being one of the top tier.
So I spent 6 months painting my Warriors of Rohan.
Nice.
Needed to get points to 900 points.
Sure.
And picked Men of the West because it was the easiest way to get a lot of heroes and some centerpieces.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
we should say your models are absolutely gorgeous. We've seen your Eagle. You converted the wings somehow?
No, it's a 3D print because I can't buy the
Forge World one is not available.
Oh,
so even though it's got the Warg on the base, it's very similar to the...
Yeah.
Oh, very clever. You had me convinced. I thought you'd like change the wings somehow because the rest of it looks so similar.
Yeah.
Well, either way, it's a lovely model and well painted as well. And so going into this, we've got Veto. The manoeuvring scenarios.
Yes.
What did you think going into it? What sort of stuff? What did you veto? Can you remember?
So I vetoed Recon.
Recon.
Mainly because I've only played 6 games,
right.
And I kind of figured you're more likely to have played Recon probably more than I've had total games.
Right.
So let's just ban that, and then picked like arbitrarily between the other
ones
3.
that you sort of knew a bit better.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
Okay.
Or you might know less.
Right. Okay. Sure. Fair enough.
That's the logic against everybody.
Okay. Fair enough. I chose to burn, divide, and conquer. I can't remember the reasons for that now. Oh yes, it's because of your dominance. So I thought dominant 2 within range of the heroes would be really bad for me in an objective one where we have to stay in the middle. And also it would bring everything to the middle as well, which I think favours your list generally more than it maybe favours mine. So because you've got your bubble effects like the Frodo bonus, stuff like that.
But then your sieges will put me off doing that.
Yes,
so I'm not actually sure if that's...
there's an element of it. But I thought you might also be easier to just flap an Eagle over to one corner and start deactivating the stuff. So I figured that as well, that was one of the reasons. So that ended up with being the choice between Escort the Wounded and Storm the Camp. And Escort the Wounded I wasn't particularly excited by because you've got Eagles which could easily nip forward, get you wounded and nip over the lines and grab the stuff. So that probably was a toss-up to burning it. But we luckily rolled Storm the Camp, which was probably my preferred choice. But it's still not ideal, I think, depending on how the board looks. I mean, we had a lot of terrain, and so the big thing for me was I had a lot of chances to throw rocks and stuff at you. So going into it, like, did you have a plan? Did you fancy your chances in this one?
So I've not played against Siege, because when I was rereading the rules, I was like, no one takes Siege. Same with War Beast. I played a Mummock game 1.
Sure.
So I actually didn't know. I deployed it entirely badly. First 2 and moved badly, and then figured out how Siege works.
I was going to say, so it was the first turn. I mean, I did tell you obviously the splash damage, but it just didn't sort of register. Until you see what happens. You go, all right, now I understand. So so the first couple of turns I got a couple of hits, but it wasn't devastating.
I think you killed like 8 or 10.
Right.
So like
okay. Over the first 2 turns.
And then once I started moving properly, it was a bit easier.
I think it was definitely getting on for 10 over the course of the 3 or 4 turns of shooting, which was pretty substantial, and especially in a small list. But the table setup, I think the way there was a lot of kind of to and fro of you being a bit cautious to charge, and then me being like literally pulling back to try and get more shooting and stuff. So I think if anything, I think you were perhaps a little too cautious.
So I think because I deployed badly and kept on getting marked prone, my force started to like disintegrate. So,
it started separating down a thin line, didn't it?
I ended up like being cautious to try to keep everyone together.
Yeah, makes sense.
Whereas if I had deployed slightly better, had less prone, I could have moved up and kept on marching round the flank. I just didn't want to meet you head on because then I rely on the Eagles then to get across, and a lucky shot would pop them. So
that makes sense.
Didn't want to go into the center because also you've so many more numbers that you would just trap me.
There was an element of that, and although I've only got a slight number advantage when you take into account the fact that I've got 7 models back on the siege, and it still was probably a 10 model-ish or just over. But I think I would have been more comfortable with you. I think if you had gone in Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli straight in with Guayhair and the Eagles straight in and just front line against mine, I would be toast pretty quick. But there was a list. I think you kind of
gave me maybe a chance because I could block you off or try to hold you off from getting into my camp via the left-hand side of the board. And then I was able to, we were kind of pivoting around this central massive ruin and ended up, most of my sort of Easterlings and the Abrakan Guard and stuff like that ended up swinging forward towards your line, which had Leggy and Foubeau's, and that just sort of missed the first march and then ended up staying and shooting and stuff like that. So it ended up being a bit of a kind of, can I break through your sort of smaller force to get into your camp, and the same in the opposite. So I'd left a bit of a smaller force to protect my camp in the hope that I could stall you with the catapult, the trebuchet, and the siege bow, but also the bows, which were shooting into combat to try and stop your heroic combat, stuff like that, and also Amda.
So my rationale for that was, if I go forward, I kill a few, but then I don't kill enough. You start outnumbering me and shooting me, and you had stuff coming around the back that could have trapped. So I was like, if I do that, all I'm doing is... Like all I'm doing is killing for time.
Yep.
You keep on shooting, and then you eventually get some cavalry around the corner.
Yeah.
So I was like, if I go round the side, try to hold off for as long as possible, and then kill your siege, then you at least lose, I think, threats to Gwai here and my heroes. So it was kind of the rationale.
Yeah, and also you had to commit quite a lot to get into the into my Storm the Camp because I'm always going to have the 3 siege crew off each thing plus a troll, so that's 9 models total just sitting in the camp protecting. So that was fair enough. Whereas you didn't leave anything to protect other than a line of flimsy Rohan warriors.
Which die so quickly.
They do die quickly, but I think it just took so long for me to get there, and I was so cautious. Like I was making sure I was moving to sort of skirt around the Minas Tirith contingent largely. That actually I just didn't leave myself enough time to really well and truly.
And then I had Gimli coming behind.
Yeah, exactly.
So that force was always going to try to make you at least be a bit more cautious.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to. Yeah, that was the rationale.
I didn't want to get because there was these 2 ruins with a little like a dwarven statue thing, and you ended up sandwiching between 2 sort of relatively small forces, but enough to know that you're going to hold me up for a few turns.
Yeah, I mean, if they were Minas Tirith and they would have held you up. Thing.
Absolutely.
But the issue with I'm here because I like the painting.
Yeah.
And the Rohan warriors are much nicer.
They're lovely models.
So,
so
that's why I'll take the loss if that happens, which it often does. So.
Well, indeed, we both found ourselves on basically the bottom table. But having said that, it came down to time again. All of my games have run to time, and the very final turn there was some really quite intense, exciting stuff that could have gone either way. So Gwai here and an eagle had jumped into the base. Aragorn was in the camp as well, but I pivoted my siege bolt thrower to try and shoot into the eagle to try and insta-kill the eagle, but there was an in the way for the combat which had the troll and the catapult crew in there against Gwai, so it was like, oh, could I hit myself? But I ended up hitting Gwai, but of course he didn't knock him out, didn't kill him, he just took a fate point, which is fine, and so it meant that you had 10 dominance in the camp. And I had, I think you killed 2, 9. So 9 minus 7. 2, so it ended up being 7. So you got my camp, and you had heroes in there, and dominance. Which in the new rules you need to have, you get extra points for having more than one model in the camp. Basically, you get a point for each of them. And then at the other end of the table, the Golden King was just being held up. So I was aiming to get my banner into the and a hero into the camp, but he just got Gimli charged into the back of him, and he just got wedged between. I think I probably made a mistake a few turns earlier by trying to funnel myself through a gap, and I wanted to be like a big wedge driving through the line, but actually I should have just driven a bit into that line and then sent way more around the
even if you had one more model, it would have been a draw. So I got lucky there, I think, in that decision.
Yes.
But that was the one.
So
swing factor.
The very last thing was, and it was just a mistake. It was a stupid mistake, and it's my fault. So you were very kind and said afterwards, "Oh, you could have easily moved that guy there," but I knew about. If I didn't know about the rule, I may have been like, "Oh yeah, go on, then let me have it." But
which is why I picked this scenario.
Yeah, exactly. Because you were about the same as I was. But the thing was, I had enough models to put 5 in the camp, and I didn't. I chose to try and break you. So I threw some extra models into trap stuff, all this sort of thing. And in the end, I was one off breaking you. And I didn't, so I didn't break you, which was, I think it was a 50-50 as whether I broke you. There was like 6 combats and I needed to kill 3 or something like that. So it was only a half and half, I'd say. But I didn't put enough models in the camp, which meant you captured my camp with a full 5 models because of dominance, and I captured yours with just 4. But that's 1 less victory point, which meant in total it was a 12-11 victory to you, which means a complete and utter disastrous tournament for me. So well done. I mean, it was a cracking game. It was really tense. There was loads of movement, shenanigans. And I think, considering you're new to the game and stuff, like
first win.
Yeah, first win ever at a tournament. So I'm happy to provide that, Daniel. But either way, yeah, it was, you played it really well. Other than the siege stuff, which is just you've learned now.
Yes.
Next time you come against siege runners, you know what to do. So I think
I'm on track for my 2-4 ambitions.
Hey, look, you'll get it. I think you'll get it.
No expectations.
It's a strong list. So well done, and thanks very much for talking to me. Best of luck for the rest of the tournament.
Cheers. Thank you, Harry.
Thank you. And then tragedy struck. So you can see that I'm driving in the car. Lost 4 games. Was hoping I would be able to reclaim some semblance of dignity by winning the last 2 and ending in a respectable sort of bottom third of the tournament. But no. I'm in the car. I've abandoned ship. I've thrown in the towel. And I'm heading home. But I hasten to add, it is not because of that. I'm not a quitter. I'm not one to leave a tournament before the end of the tournament because I can't place, or because I'm having a miserable time losing constantly. Because actually I don't care about that usually. And although I did go into this one saying I did want to do well, I wanted 3 wins and a draw, and I'm not going to get that. That's not the reason. The reason is because last night Mrs. P was saying that Archie had a horrendous day yesterday. He'd been a bit ill on Thursday and then was a little bit more ill on Friday. And Friday night she said he was a bit temperamental and woke up a bit in the night. Saturday, yesterday, she basically had a mare of a day, saying that he was just uncomfortable, he wouldn't sleep, he wasn't eating particularly well, and then stopped eating completely, apparently, having milk instead, and he just had some milk and stuff. So he's had a right mare of a day yesterday. And overnight, she said he kept waking up crying, upset, but then immediately falling asleep. So we thought he was teething, but maybe he's got some other sort of bug as well, again, because he's been at nursery and just seems to not be ill at the moment, which sucks because he's so little that you do worry from when he's coughing lots. So she said this morning, look, I'd appreciate some support this afternoon. So I finished off the first game knowing by the time I'd started pretty much that I was coming home, because ultimately I don't want to leave her with a stressful bedtime routine, in particular afternoons. He tends to be more cranky in the afternoons anyway because he's a bit tired, but frankly if he's already been a nightmare and she's had a full 36 hours without any support, then it's time to tap in, I think. So that's what I'm doing. Which, look, I want to be. I'm trying to be super transparent and open and honest about this, because there'll be people out there with kids who think who are probably the same as me, who are equally torn in this sort of circumstance, where on the one hand you think, oh man, I really want to stay and finish this event. I paid money for it. Not that the money's a massive deal, frankly. I spent that a long time ago. It's supporting a big event that I'm happy with. It's the time and the planning and the kind of build-up of the excitement of it. Knowing that you're going to spend a weekend playing Toy Soldiers, hanging out with some friends, going out for dinner and having a nice drinks and all this sort of stuff, and just trying it. It takes time. You paint some models and you build an army, you have a plan and an idea, and you have hopes and dreams and expectations of how the weekend's going to go, and then it all comes tumbling down because of something, life gets in the way, and maybe I'm the only person in the world who is torn by these things. Maybe other parents are like, straight in, oh God, yeah, no, absolutely, I'm going to come home, support you and all that. But I do find it difficult. So it is a shame. I am sad that I have to leave. But ultimately I have to. And I know, when you have a baby, you have a kid, and you have a wife, you got to sometimes be a little bit more selfless. And as much as it pains me to come home, I have to, and I'm going to. There's not much choice. And I must say, it's easier this time than it has been before. Maybe I'm maturing. Maybe I'm just coming to terms with the fact that my time is less my time than it once was. Or maybe some other reason. I don't know. But I'm sort of okay with it. Maybe it's because I've had 4 losses and I've got nothing on the line. If I'd had like 3 wins yesterday, and then a win, and then nothing today, and I was still gunning for that thing, maybe I'd be really gutted because, I know I wasn't going to help the fella. I know it could have helped the fella bellies, but now I know I'm not going to help the fella bellies. My team, as I said at the start, I really wanted 3 wins and a draw out of this tournament to try and help the team score, and that's obviously not happening. So I guess there's less of a downside this time. But either way, I'm still gutted because I really don't like abandoning events before the end. I've chastised folk before for dropping out of events. Obviously, if you're not having fun, I can sort of understand it. But when I am having fun, which I have had fun, it's all the more galling. Because I have had such a great time. Like, yes, I've lost 4 games, but the losing hasn't mattered because they've all been very close games. And down to that last one where one model moving or one model dying would have given me either a draw or a win. So if I'd have killed one more Rohan warrior, then I would have got a win. Or if I'd have moved one model 6 inches into a different position, I'd have got a draw. Or if I'd have done both, I'd have got an even more decisive win. But such is life. Every single player I've played against has been brilliant. Ash, at the start of the tournament, top table player. Really generous, wonderful game we had against him, and although the scoreline was 12-1, I think it was, the kill tally was a bit closer than that, and I think a heroic move here or there, roll off might have gone my way, so I'll take that. A game against Alex, he kept saying, oh, I feel really bad about winning that one, but I didn't think he did anything bad. Like, I think there were a couple of things that went badly for me, but that's just the case, the way of things, and I certainly didn't hold it against him. And Zahir's game, he had a really, really tough matchup for me, the quadruple caster, and I feel like that was always going to be a tricky game to win. But again, Zahir was such a lovely fella. I'd had the pleasure to bump into him before, but never had a game against him, so that was really nice. And just finishing off with Donal now, like, there's literally nothing to complain about. He was a new time player. He was really he was learning stuff. We had a good laugh. There were we had a bit of bants, which bottom table bants is always good. And he squeaked to win. I think largely due to my mistakes. So I can't hold it against him that I made some mistakes not moving some models when I just checked the rules before that. So my own fault. But I really shouldn't be too bothered. I think the one thing I should say, I think my army wasn't bad. And I know that, you will laugh your head off thinking, what on earth are you talking about? You've just lost 4 games in a row. Obviously it's a bad army. And I'm inclined to sort of agree with you. But, and hear me out on this, you're wrong. Because it's a really good army. It worked really well. The only thing I would admit to is if I could swap out the Abrakan Guard for probably something along the lines of, a similar Haradrim Raiders, for example, with bows or something like that. Then you can have a load of bows, extra bows, which would be handy, and also they could have the war spears as well. So you've got loads of cav, which would have helped in the moving scenarios, and they'd have hit similarly on the charge. And that's kind of it. And so, but I wanted to use the Abercan Guard because the Abercan Guard look cool. They're part of the Tale of Four Warlords. So that's just it. And I don't think they were bad. I mean, I got a bit unlucky in the game against Alex, but other than that, they performed quite well. They killed a lot of stuff. They died quite quickly, but every game there were still a few kicking them out at the end of the game. So that was that. And maybe I needed to play quicker. Maybe spent a lot of time vetoing and faffing around at the start of most of the games, to be fair. We never came to a natural conclusion in any of the games, which may be worth noting. I don't know. And the round times were fairly generous for the points level, so I don't think I can really blame the tournament organizer, Bert Legend. So who knows? But either way, I'd like to try the army again. Realistically, it's probably not going to happen. Although there is a 1,000-point tournament in a couple of weeks' time, and the GBHL finale is 1,000 points as well. So I am semi-tempted to take something like this again, but I'm pretty much maxed out warband. So who knows? Maybe I could take another. I don't know. Maybe I could just try it again and see what happens. Whether or not that's going to work or not, I don't know. Maybe it's a bad idea to flog a dead horse, but I still think there's something in it. I need to back my own ability here. Maybe I should add some more Haradrim Raiders and take the warriors out. But the whole point of this Tale of War Warlords is to build a hobby army that looks pretty. So I still want to do that. So I'm going to do that. So yeah, that's it for Berticon. Obviously, I haven't had a chance to speak to the winner. I'm frankly unlikely to be speaking to said winner as well, unless I don't know who the winner's going to be, but I might just drop it in now.
So welcome along to Entmoot. It's Mr. Stephen Denby. Congratulations on your win at Berticon.
Thank you very much, Harry. Bararam, long-time listener / watcher. Short time on podcast now.
Well, yeah, this is very short time on podcast because you've been in for about 20 seconds. But welcome along, and obviously I would have invited you on before as a content creator of the formerly of the Any Heroics podcast. Rest in peace. People will maybe have seen you in that podcast before, but it has since died. So I think the last video you did was you and Chris Murfitt singing badly to 500 miles from the Proclaimers as you headed to the Masters tournament.
Yes, subscribers will be very confused as to A, why we stopped making videos, and then B, why that happened afterwards. But short answer is trying to sort out tournament results literally like one day before you're making a podcast is A, stressful, and B, very time consuming. And yeah, that's the reason.
Yeah, fair enough. Totally get it. We do miss it though. It was nice to have it while it lasted. But either way, you're here not because of your connections to the MESBG scene in a content creator format, but because you're the winner of Berticon. So let's just delve straight into it. I mean, it was a strange kind of format tournament. There's 961 points for some reason. It's got a lot of funky restrictions. We spoke to Bert about them earlier on in the video, but what did you take, and how did it achieve such great things as 6 wins and no losses?
Well, just very quickly, the 961 is actually because it's a list that Bert built months ago and was like, it's Defenders of Helm's Deep. That's the spoiler for why it's 961. Yeah, although he wrote it wrong, it's actually 962, which I pointed out to him. Too late for him to change it. What did I take to the event? I took Ugluk Scouts, which is not what a lot of people, anybody was playing at the event. I was only third actually in model count to Shire lists. What we saw was a lot of Men of the West, Fornost, Last Alliance, kind of elite level armies, a few Master of Isengard, about 50 models. But given it was veto, I went for Ugluk Scouts because number one, I performed quite well with them previously, having won Lemon Cup in September with them at 777. And just if you look at the scenario pools, the only pool that is truly potentially dodgy is the killing pool. which is Lords of Battle, Contest of Champions, To the Death, and Assassination. Now, Assassination's great because you've got 23, or my list has 23 strength, 3 bows, +1 to wound. To the Death, you've got 3 banners, and good luck killing 41 models to break me. The other two, Udluk is the worst hero that you could possibly have at this points level for Contest of Champions.
Yeah, but you don't have to have him, do you? I get, but it's
yeah, you could swap to Malher, but not much better.
Not much better, yeah.
So it was literally the way I saw it was I would end up either playing Lords or Assassination for the killing pool, which is exactly what happened. I got very lucky versus a lovely Fangorn player, and then the rest of the event was just I've got 80 models.
Yeah,
I'm running around, getting the objectives. I'm killing you quite well.
And it's I was just going to say, sorry, the 80 models is obviously insane. The 23 bows is very good. That's their strength 3 bows as well, obviously. But you've got like +1s coming out of the wazoo. There's like +1s to wounds. You've got fearless bubbles if you need them. You've got the campfire thing for objectives. There's so much going on for this list. But I must say, I was very surprised that such an enormous horde could deal with the like you say, the big stuff that was kicking about the tournament. Obviously, Fangorn was one of them. You clearly managed okay with that, but it's the Heroes of the West or the Men of the West, and those sorts of things that I thought would be your undoing. Did you have to face any of those sorts of big hero-heavy lists?
I did play 2 Men of the Wests.
Wow. Okay.
I obviously played the Fangorn as well. I played a 23 model Army of Edoras list, which was very hero-heavy, which was my toughest game, to be honest. Absolutely smashed me. I killed 6 models. He killed down to like 10, I think I was 10 remaining. The short answer is you either don't deal with the big heroes, you put an Orc and an Uruk into them, and then if they lose the combat, you're probably winning them on 5s. You just try and kill everything else is how it works. So the theory of the list is try not to play Lords of Battle contest or lead from the front, which is another bad example. Because if you've got an Aragorn in the middle of the board and lead for the front, you've just lost the game basically. So the 2 times I did play those lists with the heavy heroes, I just didn't try and kill them because you can't.
You just have to play the game and go for the troops and the objectives and other stuff.
Yeah, and you can threaten killing them, but ultimately, if you've got 2 Uruks, 2 Orcs on Aragorn and he rolls a 4 high, he'll spend his 2 might points to win the fight and then kill you. So if you overcommit to it, you lose. And the best thing about the list is it's got 13 non-committal might, is how I refer to it, in that you're not using that might for fighting. You just march, you move, you call multiple moves if you have to, you call marches on flanks to wrap round people. You exploit the numbers, you use your 23 bows to pull people into a specific area of the map, which is something I did in my very final game, and then just kind of wrapped round to bubble my opponent in while I went and got all the SWG objectives with my Uruks.
Sorry to interrupt there, Steve. I just want to pick up on a couple of things you mentioned there that I think are the sorts of things that top table players maybe take for granted that average Joes or worse than like people like me may not have thought of. The idea of marching your flanking troops to envelop the opponent's army or and wrap them in a certain place. That's smart. That is a smart thing because it takes forward planning. It takes sort of confidence in your expenditure of might. So I mean, how do you know when to do those sorts of things, or how to do them?
So the best example is I've had a couple of games where I know my opponent will outfight me and outkill me. It's generally Men of the West. It's also been Muster of Isengard. And 2 of those games have been domination, where the objectives, I've made my best effort to spread them out as far as possible. I've then deployed back, potentially on 1 objective, maybe 2 if I'm lucky. And then I've got 23 strength 3 bows. If they don't come to me, I'm just going to skirmish. I can march with my Uruks, they'll move 5.5 inches and still be able to shoot you. And then they have to come to you. And if they don't come to you, like I say, you just shoot them to death. And once they come to you, you've got your flanks slightly extended, and then you can march around, or your Uruks are just 8-inch movement. And you just wrap them in a bubble and just hug them while the rest of your stuff goes and gets the other objectives. And
I guess you have the models to do it, don't you? You've got 80 models, and most of the armies are probably around the 50-60 mark at most.
Yeah, I mean, Men of the West, I saw 38, and I think I saw 44, I want to say. Master of Isengard, very tough battle line, was about 50. But again, if they kill 10 models in the first round of combat, you've got more where that came from. You're fine. You keep your heroes at the back. You've got a scout captain who can be strength 5 with +3 to wound, which is very nice. But
insane.
you just chuck the bodies at the opponents, and you flank and wrap and try and get as much of your force on them as you can as possible. Make their heroes call heroic moves. Just keep pushing through, and yeah, as long as you're not playing one of those 3 scenarios, you've got a very good shot at winning your game, hopefully.
So with that in mind, obviously, Ugluk Scouts has been doing well at almost all points levels now, but obviously the veto system being in place sounds like it was key here. Is it the sort of army that scales perfectly up to 1,000 points, or do you think that at 1,000 points it's not really gonna cut muster in a non-veto tournament? I'm thinking specifically because I've got a 1,000-point tournament coming soon, and I'm wondering, should I take something that will easily beat Ugluk Scouts, or is there anything that can easily beat Ugluk Scout?
It would be remiss of me as the Ugluk Scouts player to give away all the secrets, but what I would say is at 1,000 points, you will come up against heroes with good numbers that you can't deal with. So if you look into perhaps the shorter races, who are gruffer and more bearded, you'll find lists which get up to 50, 60 models.
Yeah.
And at 1,000 points, I might potentially just add a drum to what I've got at the moment. But if you were planning on going to Melton Mowbray or the finale, I don't think people are going to be running 80 model Ugluk Scouts lists, because there's those few scenarios that you run into and you can't deal with it. You can't deal with your opponent's battle line. Capturing control is another tricky one, because if suddenly you're trying to shift a bunch of D7 dwarves off the line when they've all got banner support and they're all fight 5 or whatever, you will struggle.
Because I guess the list hinges on the fact that a lot of the +1s come from having an Orc and an Uruk-hai in combat, and if you're not able to get 2 models onto that one model, you're starting to lose some of the bonuses, and that might make it harder for you to crack through eventually. Is that right, or am I getting that wrong?
Yeah, I mean, in theory, I think the +1 to wound is nice from Animosity. It's not nice enough for me to want to ever take any Orc frontliners.
Right.
Usually what will happen is the Uruks, they'll just naturally through strength 4 and a few trapping and a few just having 4 dice versus 2 potentially.
Sure.
You'll just punch through, and then you can pick the points where you want to get the +1 to wound.
Sure.
Or you can send one of the 3 Orc captains in with an Uruk, and then that'll give 3 strikes at strength 4 with +1 to wound, just to kind of exploit some cracks and flood in. And because you've got models behind those models, they can never get through to Ugluk, because the worst thing that could happen in this list is they just kill Ugluk. Because for those of you who aren't aware, Ugluk has a conditional rule at the start of his activation. He can kill an Orc within 2 inches and give every Uruk within 6 inches +1 to wound. So,
and he's also got the Fearless Bubble later on, and he can set a fire to do the extra bonuses for capturing objectives. Yeah,
the Fearless bonus is really nice. The fire comes in every now and then, especially Hold Ground, I would say. But the ability for Ugluk to be very quick and then run round. Usually an Orc stumbles towards him before he starts moving. Ugluk goes, "Oh, thank you for coming here," kills the Orc, moves into the position where you really want to crack the line. And then even if it is D7 and you don't have the Animosity bonus, your Uruks are still strength 4 with the +1 to wound. You've probably got good banner support, because with 3 banners, I'm covering the entirety of my line. It's just it's a solid strength 4 fight 4 battle line. It will struggle against dwarves, and I have struggled against dwarves. I've been lucky against dwarves. But
the thing I thought that it would probably struggle against, which maybe you just didn't encounter it, was any kind of caster or some sort of ability that can target you from afar. Like I don't know, probably not a Legolas because you have to shoot through so much stuff, but like a Ringwraith with a black dart or something like that to chip away, or a Saruman with Sorcerous Blast. Do those things not cause problems to you, or is it just because you literally hide Ugluk behind a building right at the back of the board and just forget about him?
Sometimes that is the answer.
I thought it might be.
You can. So what I did in a couple of games is Ugluk just went off to one side, which means that. So I did play against 2 Sarumans. The Saruman has to either be going on that side, and therefore he isn't with the rest of the line. And if he is going after Ugluk, it's 170 or 190 of his mounted point model going after yours. I can't actually remember how many points Ugluk is.
Yeah, it's like 60, 70, isn't he? He's not much. Yeah.
He's 75.
Yeah.
So if it takes Saruman 3 turns to blast him to death, realistically it'll take him 4 or 5 because it's forced to wound and he's got to cast it as well, and you've got a will point.
Yeah.
So you're actually okay with that result. It's not ideal. The general answer is you do find a piece of terrain near where you want to fight that Ugluk can hide behind, ideally.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Interesting.
then he just exists.
He just
and
is there.
The other important thing to note is that Black Dart is beyond on 8 of the 9 ring wraiths. It's a 6-inch range now and only strength 6, so it's much less effective.
Yeah, okay, fair. Yeah, I've forgotten about the reduction in the range of that as well. Interesting. So, I mean, look, I don't want to sort of exploit you being here because you're a top table player, you're an expert at the game, all that sort of stuff. And I haven't asked you to do this, but like I took a Legions of Mordor list. I don't know whether you had a glance at my list while you were there.
With the catapult, with the severed heads.
With the catapult, severed heads, I had the Golden King and the siege bow, all that sort of stuff. Look, I mean, just gut instinct. Was that a really terrible list, or just a sort of mid to average terrible list, or was it actually somewhere better than that?
So, I mean, looking at it, you've got a few nice pieces there. Mm-hmm. The Golden King, I think, is very, very good value for what he does. If you don't encounter shooting or a Legolas, the fact that you can just sit in combat for multiple turns and just ignore the opponent. Mm-hmm. And if he wins the fight, he'll also just chop, chop, chop. I think the problem, the bit where you went wrong is spending 120 points on siege weapons.
More than that.
You've got the catapult for 170 and the siege bow for 50. Is that
so
right?
220.
220. Sorry, I literally can't count.
So yeah. And why? So I mean, obviously siege weapons are fun. Which is partly why I took them, but also there's the severed heads, which is quite good sometimes. But is that the problem? The sometimes that they're good sometimes, but they're not reliable enough. And like you say, I'm spending 220 points, which is a quarter of my army.
I think you'd be better off with 4 siege bows, to be honest. They're really good.
Interesting,
but especially
that is not what I expected you to say there.
Because I understand that you're trying to get maximum value from the catapult, but ultimately, any player worth their salt knows you just essentially put models in little triangles that are 2 inches away from each other, or slightly more than 2 inches. I can't remember what the splash radius is, and you just run at them. And then when you get to combat, you're not war catapulting your own lines when you've got black dragons. I think just looking.
You can do severed heads into your own lines, unless they have a fearless thing. Bubble.
You can. I think that's one of the other problems is the list that you might see, the Men of the West, the Fornos, the Last Alliances. They've either got very good courage or fearless or reroll ones, things like that. I don't think it's a bad list at all, and I actually thought you might have some source there going in. But the one thing I was looking at is the 15 not D6 models.
That's the Abrakan Guard and the Haradrim Bowman. Yeah,
I love the Abrakan Merchant Guard profile. I think it's a very cool idea. It's also it fits with the Golden King theme. They're very choppy, but you presumably were you putting the Moran Orcs behind them? Was that the intention?
No, it was actually a front rank of Moranans backed up by Black Dragons, and then with flanking Abrakan Guard mostly. Okay. Occasionally they did find their way at the front, and they did generally die, but that was not the intent. Because I knew going into it, I don't want to be shot at or just fight strength 4 stuff and die. But inevitably that did happen, of course.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's a solid list. Amber's very good. I still think Guritz is very good.
Yeah, he's worse, but he's still pretty good for his points, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, and he can get to fight 5 against men, which is nice. You see a lot of men at higher points, so no, I don't think there's anything massively wrong with the list beyond it's
the player piloting it.
No, not at all. You're a top table player at times. I saw you on the streak.
I've had streaks in the past. I've never quite had a losing streak like this one, but